We Bear Bears.
Bear Bears.
We covered that show.
Oh, we have. Shockingly good.
Yeah,
Shockingly decent.
Yeah, surprisingly fun and wholesome.
Especially for like a very young children's show.
Yeah.
Because we've watched a few very young children's shows, and oh boy, there's a difference in quality. The fucking Space Kids one.
That fucking penguin show.
Insulting. There's no way I would have watched that even as a kid. Episode of the Laser Comb Podcast, your favorite podcast where two Congo bongos comb through classic television with a fine-tooth banana. I am one of your hosts, NeoCal, and I am joined by the prestigious Christopher Siege.
That's me.
Siege.
Yes.
Laser Comb 61.
61, and if you are watching the video version or even listening to the audio version, you know that we have, after 60 episodes, we have a new intro song and a new intro video. One that I'm quite proud of, I might add.
Yes, indeed. I dig it. And you got some good editing skills there.
Thank you. That very slow, guttural laser comb is totally me.
Oh yeah, I was like, that Christopher had fun, like editing, editing that.
Yeah, turning the pitch down of my voice.
Yeah,
and what it actually sounded like was something akin to this laser comb.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I just turned the pitch down so it sounds like this. I sound like a gold system lord.
There you
basically.
Go. Yeah.
Which I actually got excited when I was fucking around with that, because I'm like, I see how they did this on Stargate now. They just turned the pitch down.
So that's how they did it. Well, it's time to turn the pitch up. Or turn something up.
Pump up the jam. That's what we got to do.
That's what we got to do. Because we're doing Donkey Kong Country.
Boom, boom, boom. Bam, 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 pump the jam, pump. I watched this Netflix show when I had COVID last month. I watched it was called Kunk on Earth, which to be fair, I only clicked on it because the thumbnail image was of a attractive 40-something-year-old redheaded lady.
As one does.
I'm like, okay. So Kunk on Earth, it stars this comedian, and I'm completely blanking on her name right now, but she plays this character named Wilhelmina Kunk.
Okay.
Who is a reporter, an investigative reporter.
Right. I know what show you're talking about now.
So the show is like a mockumentary / documentary, travel log type series where she talks about the history of mankind, basically. It's basically a historical travel log as told by an idiot.
Right.
Yeah, it's very...
And it's good?
It's good. It's very funny. If you like things like the Colbert Report, that kind of humor.
Nice.
Someone
the
who is...
tongue-in-cheek, yeah.
Tongue-in-cheek, and is, very, brazenly, giving incorrect information.
Yeah, for comedic effect.
For comedic effect, yeah. But there's a recurring joke throughout the show where she keeps referencing Pump Up the Jam. Including referring to it as the Canadian national anthem at one point.
Amazing.
Yeah. So it's only 6 episodes. It's really, really funny.
I'll have to check that out.
I highly recommend it to you and to anyone listening. Kunk on Earth on Netflix.
And what we're going to tell you, whether we recommend or not, is Donkey Kong Country. series. It's
Yep,
not
from
that's not in the
1997.
title, but
Yeah, it's just
it's
called
3D animated.
Donkey Kong Country. This show was from 1997, and I want to get into the reason why specifically we're talking about this show. We had been doing a run of Patreon sponsored shows, which we're going to get back to, like
Yeah.
probably after this like upcoming block of shows that we're reviewing. But it was announced last month that the Canadian channel, cartoon channel, Teletoon, that we've mentioned many times on this show. Fuck, half the shows we've covered on this podcast aired on Teletoon,
Feels like it, right?
right? It was announced that Teletoon was being rebranded as Cartoon Network Canada, which is weird because there already was a Cartoon Network Canada, and that got rebranded as something else a few years ago. I I don't understand, but you want to see like just an outcry of angry millennials on Twitter,
Right?
angry Canadian millennials on Twitter. Uh, that was the scene going on after the announcement of Teletoon being rebranded um, was announced, and we're talking about Donkey Kong Country because it's a show that used to air on Teletoon. It's a show that I strongly associate with Teletoon as a brand. And I think that's probably just, well, I mean, that's the channel it aired on. So I think Donkey Kong, I think Teletoon. I think
Right?
Teletoon, I think Donkey Kong.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I remember the intro of Donkey Kong Country being a little bit more hype.
The theme song to this show, going back to it, is not that great.
But as a kid, I still remembered the lyrics. Hey yo, Donkey Kong,
Oh,
let's go.
ha, ho ha.
But then
Donkey Kong.
listening to it, it was like way less hype than I remember, and it was just kind of like easy listening. And I was like, weird. Don't remember it being this tame.
Right? This show
But
does have really good music, though.
it and surprisingly decent writing for well, let's talk about what Donkey Kong Country is. Okay, so they're on an island. All the characters. Seems like a smallish island. Believe it's Congo Bongo.
I think in the show it's called Congo Bongo. In the games, it's I think it's called just like Kong Island or something like, or Skull
Yeah,
Island.
something
I
like
don't know,
that.
something like that.
So basically, what it is follows a man named Don, and he has to adopt his nephew, Danny Diddy, is what they call him. But see, Diddy kind of gets in the way because even though he wants to be a parental figure for Diddy, he's chasing after this single mom named Candy. And the thing is, the dating pool's really small on Congo Bongo, and he's trying to get with this like single mom, right? But like she's a working mom, right? Like she's doesn't have time for games. She's a little bit she's, like a little bit like older. She doesn't have time for like fuck boys, right? But like Don's like in party mode. Dude never has a job, right? He just sits around eating all day.
Eating
But
bananas.
like I said, the dating pool is small, and like he's just a lovable guy. It's like hard to hate him. And yeah, there are different antagonists of the show, and um there's a wannabe dictator on the island, right? And he's growing something other than banana crops. And then there's kind of like an oil baron where the people that do have a job, they have to work at this oil barrel factory. And yeah, the story revolves around their hijinks. Oh, and then
There's a very
there's
crotchety old man.
there's a crotchety old man, yeah, who's good humor for the show, named Cranky.
I've always thought Cranky was the original Donkey Kong. Like, the old like arcade like 2D Donkey Kong where you played as Mario and like had to like go up and save the princess.
Oh, the only thing worse than like somebody with no gains at all is somebody who had all those gains and let it slip through their fingers.
Right?
You know what I
I
mean?
I've always thought that Cranky Kong was probably that Donkey, the OG Donkey Kong.
In my day, I took on Jumpman by myself.
Well, that's right. He was just called Jump Man.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. But it was definitely Mario.
And I didn't work at the barrel factory. I threw them. Uh, and
I kept that factory in business for several years in the arcades.
yeah, and well, speaking of business, the only businessman is like a colonizer with a cringy mustache who's always after candy, but he's very cowardly and tries to look after himself. I can't remember that one's name.
Let me see. It's like
And while Christopher's looking that up, the other character, other than Candy's daughter, um, is other than the goons for Karul,
Bluster
um,
Kong.
Bluster, right? Yes, he's very fancy and very rich,
He is
and he owns most of the island.
he is exclusive to the show and
Yeah,
not from the video games. Also, folks, this show is based on a trilogy of video games from the literally like the mid '90s, from '94 to '97, called Donkey Kong Country.
that's right.
If you're watching the
And
video version, our backgrounds are screenshots from the video game.
yeah, he had save points, Candy's save points. You get a smooch, you get to save the game.
For those who weren't there for it, in the mid '90s, the Donkey Kong Country games were fucking hype.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I hadn't mentioned that on purpose.
oh,
Treating it as a standalone. I haven't even mentioned that they're apes and monkeys and alligators yet. But
fair
yeah,
enough.
then
I jumped
there's
the gun, I guess.
no, it's okay. There's Funky Kong, which is like their stoner friend.
Who also
Um,
doubles, his day job appears to be a travel agent.
who yeah, travel agent, as well as a definitely unlicensed pilot. Right? Like just because he has a plane and can fly it, that dude didn't pass his license. And yeah,
Hey, it's
that's
okay.
the cast, that's the crew.
I fly better after smoking a few doobies.
And indeed, his introduction into this episode kind of backs that up. But yes, they are all apes or monkeys. But they all make monkey jokes.
You forgot one character, actually. You forgot
Uh,
Dixie.
Dixie, yes. I had forgotten and said it was Candy's daughter because I was going with this is actually like a TLC drama.
I was gonna say this
Oh,
is
sorry, not a TLC drama,
like an
uh
HBO drama,
yeah.
or not quite
And
HBO, like
no,
Showtime or something.
Showtime or CW.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There you go.
There we go. Now the funny thing is, it definitely is that. Like it is this, oh man, oh, I don't have any money to get Candy anything. And she's always like judgmental of him and like, like, oh, you need to impress me if you like want to date me. But at the same time, it's a musical.
Yeah.
And I think that is where the show shines.
Wow.
Shockingly.
This show ran until the year 2000. I had definitely stopped watching it by then.
I caught it here and there.
I was definitely watching it in '97.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I caught it here and there in the late 90s.
See, I was all after like Reboot and Beast Wars, and well, I guess Shadow Raiders wouldn't have been out at this point, but like when I was a kid, like in the mid '90s, I was all in on CGI. Like I loved it.
Right?
So anytime a new like CGI show came out, I would usually watch it. I watched Insectors. which is not a very good show. It's also a CGI series that predates Reboot, I might add, by a year.
Insectors. I know I've probably said this like 10 times, but I don't remember this.
There's a K in it instead of a C. So insect with a K, Tors.
Insectors.
I couldn't remember what the name of the. We talked about this very early on in our Reboot podcast, Alphanumeric. I can't remember who it was, but shout out to whatever listener, because I couldn't remember the name. So shout out to whatever listener it was that actually like messaged me and was
This
like,
looks
"Hey,
wild.
the show was called Insectors."
This feels very like Bug's Life.
But it predates it, though.
Yeah. What the Does it predate ants?
Yep. Yeah, the Insectors was from like 1993, I think.
This looks good. Oh, I remember this.
Yeah.
Wow, this is wild. Huh. Well, now here's the thing. So this Donkey Kong Country, it came out after Reboot, years after Reboot. It came out after Beast Wars. It came out after Insectors.
It aired while both Reboot and Beast Wars were in their later seasons.
Later seasons. Rewatching this now, the assets are pretty bare bones.
Yeah.
It's like you can see like the copied trees, all the banana trees are the same. When they use a texture instead of a 3D model is like glaringly obvious.
Yeah.
But it tries.
I've played so many video games where they do that with like trees and shit like that just to like save processing power. I've seen that so much that like I'm not even bothered by it. I'm like, oh yeah,
2D,
it doesn't 2D sprite has a tree instead of a 3D model. Who cares?
Yeah. Now it makes me wonder if they had done the show in the style of Donkey Kong Country, the game, how that would have been received.
Which speaking of 3D models and 2D sprites, the Donkey Kong Country Super Nintendo games have a very unique look to them, and the reason why is because Rare, the studio who developed the game, they also later developed GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, and now they were famously bought by Microsoft in 2003, and then proceeded to do very little. They made Kinect games and the Rare Replay collection, and a Perfect Dark game for launch title for the 360 that no one liked.
Oh, I don't recall that.
They do have on Xbox One and Xbox Series consoles, though. They have the Rare Replay collection, which is pretty cool. It's like a assortment of like 30 of their old games. Cool. And,
but yeah, you were saying how it was like the animation for it or the graphics for it.
Yeah, I got off on a little bit of a tangent there. So what Rare did was, and this was unprecedented for the time, what they did was they created 3D models of all of the characters, the levels, and the backgrounds, and then converted them to 2D sprites.
Interesting.
That's why the Donkey Kong Country games still look, even for like 2D, like side scrollers, they still look fucking great today to look at.
What an interesting, to a different extent, like we had recently spoken on a different episode, like Mortal Kombat doing similar things. Like Mortal Kombat had live action, like actors that they mapped.
That they converted into 2D sprites, yeah.
That's wild. So they had 3D models.
Yep.
And that's why the shading and the interesting.
Yeah. And indeed, the characters on the cartoon actually look a lot like their video game counterparts. I would say with the exception of Dixie.
I don't recall Dixie well enough, but yeah, I'd say they all look like their counterparts, especially like Donkey and Diddy.
Right.
Oh,
it's making me want to fire up my SNES Classic.
Right? Yeah.
I got mine hacked to the max to include all the Donkey Kong Country games.
All the Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah.
So yeah, this particular episode is called Buried Treasure.
Yeah.
I guess we can jump into it, right?
I guess I hadn't mentioned that yet. So this is we put it through the old random number generator as always and landed on the ninth episode overall called Buried Treasure. Although I don't know why, but it's consider I bought this episode on iTunes as usual. um, on iTunes, it's considered the eighth episode, but also looking at the episode list on Wikipedia, the broadcast versus production order is all over the place.
Yeah, and on YouTube it's considered episode 8, but whatever. The episode we're reviewing is Buried Treasure.
Yeah.
Because whatever episode we end up saying, we go with the title of that one rather than exactly what production or
we
broadcast
go
order
with
it comes
we
out
go
in.
with whatever we read on Wikipedia.
There we go. Yeah. We go with the episode we read, damn it.
It's like we're college students or something.
That's right. And this one starts with Cranky's old man Cranky's vacation, which is sitting on the beach. I don't know, like a couple hundred feet away from where they live.
I was just gonna say, it's not much of a vacation. They live on the fucking beach.
It's a small island. They all live there.
Yeah.
And Cranky, who doesn't normally have a job anyway, is taking a break from not having a job, but more importantly, probably taking a break from all the others.
Yeah.
And
I think Diddy even mentions something along the lines of
right?
that Cranky is like his vacation is to just be alone, basically.
Yeah.
That was my takeaway from it anyway.
Yeah. And he's drinking Kahlua right out of the bottle. And bees, insects keep bothering him.
Captain Morgan's Parrot Bay coconut rum.
There we go. Yeah. Because of the color of the bottle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's reminiscent of that. But no, it's a banana styled like drink, apparently. Definitely not alcoholic.
Definitely not, because because this is a children's show. We're not going to promote alcohol.
That's right. But if you look at the bottle, that's not a smoothie.
Don't ask questions, Diddy. That's grandpa's grandpa's relaxation juice.
That's grandpa's special juice. But yeah, it's banana liqueur flavored.
Can I have a sip? No.
No. It's grandpa's medicine. I do like the idea that like Diddy's like a kid who's like living with his uncle.
That's always the vibe that I've gotten from them.
Right? Like Cranky's like angry at Donkey for it's weird just calling him Donkey. At Donkey for not like, it's like, oh, you're still living here. Why don't you go get a job? Don't you want to shack up with Candy? Meanwhile, Candy's got her own car, like 2 jobs, her own house.
Yeah, she works at
what does Donkey have? Like a tie? Dude can't even afford pants.
I don't believe for a second that this this iteration of Donkey Kong being like such a like goofball slacker, I don't believe this guy would be wearing a tie. I'm just saying.
Right? It's like like he put on a tie to be taken seriously at one point to go for the one job on the island and didn't get it. The working at the barrel factory, didn't get the job, but just like kind of kept it as a look.
Yeah.
Or he always has the tie on because he's always job hunting. There we go. We got it, folks.
He's just carrying around a portfolio of resumes all the time.
No pants, no shoes, just a portfolio of resumes. Oh wait, sorry, no, he's a gorilla, right?
His resume at the top just says Donkey Kong, Congo Bongo, work experience, Banana Slamma.
Banana Slamma.
Banana Slamma, 1994 to present.
And then it says um what is it? Strengths: strong, likes bananas. Weaknesses: none. Need job. Weaknesses: need job. You can use that, listeners, on your resume under weaknesses. Write needs job.
Needs to work to survive.
Needs to work to survive. I like that. I might actually use that. But yeah, it's mostly him getting up to hijinks and binge eating. But because he is an 800-pound gorilla, he has like no fat stores whatsoever. But the show goes a little bit farther than that and implies it's like spinach for Popeye.
Right.
If he's not eating bananas, he like loses his super strength.
If there's no banana, there's no Slamma.
If there's no banana, there's no Slamma. We'll see you next week. So what ends up happening is the camera pans away from Cranky, running away from bees,
Right.
and cuts to Donkey Kong, like binge eating like a huge bunch. Like when they fall from like like when he cut them down from the tree or whatever, there's like 30 bananas in this, and he's just sitting there in like his own filth. Like fucking downing, like single swallowing. He doesn't even chew, just singles. Oh, he does this thing where
Does
he
he
like
even
squeezes
peel them?
it. He squeezes it and he shoots them into his mouth.
Oh, okay.
Right? Or maybe he doesn't even peel them. I don't know. And
Folks,
now
I watched this episode a week ago.
yeah, and now all the monkeys and apes, they like bananas because they eat them to survive, right? But
Right.
like Donkey Kong's different. Like they are like the only thing that matters. It's like bananas, thinking about what bananas he's going to eat tomorrow,
And which
the
banana he's
bananas,
going to give candy as a gift.
and which banana he's going to give candy as a gift, hoping that she's not going to eat them all and share with him, then candy, then his family, then stopping the villains on the island. That's the order of his priorities. I'm not even wrong. Like he'll like turn and like look at like the like Karul's, him and his like minions, and like that's like an afterthought most of the episodes. That they're
Right.
just there. But yeah, they're Diddy shows up and he's like, get your life together, man. What are you?
I
Fuck, if
like how
Candy saw you.
I like how Diddy at one point pulls his hat off and throws it on the ground and stomps on it, because that's like an animation from the game. That's a thing that he
Oh,
does. Like
that's a good catch.
when you would like fail like a puzzle or something, or like one of the bonus
So
rooms.
yeah, so Funky shows up high as a kite, and he's not even in the cockpit of his biplane. He's like on the wing, being like, "Oh man, I'm as high as a kite right now." And lands the plane, crashes. Now, here's the funny thing. It'll show the plane, it'll show people in the plane. It never shows the difficult animation like a plane landing or crashing. It
Right.
always just goes first person and then shows them walking away. So this show makes very good use of what you don't see as a plot point. Like there's the sound of a plane landing, and then from like stage right, Funky will like show up.
As
And
I have dubbed it, the budgetary maneuver.
the budgetary maneuver, yeah. And so kudos. And Funky shows up, and I can't remember who exactly found it. Maybe they just look on the ground and there's a message in a bottle.
Yep, and it turns out it's a treasure map, and
And
it's
this is where Diddy like slams his hat, by the way, because they're
yeah.
like, what, all of these dotted lines here, they lead to an X. And Donkey Kong's like, well, that's weird. There's not that many words that have X in it, except xylophone and ox and exit
Xena, warrior
and
princess.
Xena, warrior princess. And
Professor Charles Xavier.
Xavier, and Diddy's like, no, you
Xander
idiots.
Berkeley,
And he's
frontman
like,
of Fine Young Cannibals.
or Diddy, by the way, everyone, like if you've never watched the show before, Diddy is unquestionably the smart one. Okay, here's the thing. Funky and Donkey are mind-blowingly stupid.
Yep.
Their character shockingly shockingly, even for the big strong dumb guy, like mind-blowingly so dumb that it stops being cringe and bad and just becomes like a theme of the show. And it worked in this episode, at least.
It did for me too.
It didn't bother me
I found
because of the
Donkey.
hat throwing. He throws his hat on the ground frustrated, like the adult viewer watching this, being
Yeah.
like, no, treasure doesn't have X in it. Like, angrily, ah! And he's like, treasure? It's a treasure map, you idiots.
Oh, it gets even better than that, especially when King Karul gets
Oh
involved.
my god, I forgot how dumb
I'll talk about that when we get there.
So there's three intelligent, oh man, there's like three smart people on the show.
We got Candy, Dixie, and Diddy.
Well,
Yeah.
Cranky can be smart, knowledgeable.
I suppose he doesn't really demonstrate that in this episode anyway.
The levels of dumb in the crocodile hierarchy are like the least stupid person leading them, King Karul.
Yep.
Fuck, man.
So they figure out that this is a map to some sort of like fabled buried treasure, and they decide to go after it.
But they can't because Donkey has a date with Candy, which leads us to our first musical number,
Yep.
which I don't remember anything about.
No,
But it's there, and he keeps saying, "Nope, not interested. I got a date with Candy. Have you seen Dead Ass?" And then they're like,
DK's
"Yeah,
about to go all banana slamma.
if you catch my drift." And then Diddy, because he knows his the intimacies of Donkey, he's like, "Yeah, but with the treasure, you could buy Candy a gift." And he's like, "Urge? Hold up."
I would just like to say I really like the voice actor of Donkey Kong. Like I love the energy.
Yeah.
He's very like the energy he brings and his line reading's great. I love it.
All of the voice. Here's the thing. I came into this being like, oh man, this intro, this is going to be like of its time, isn't it? And I'm going to hate this. Voice acting's fucking great.
Yeah.
Like it's
Surprisingly.
It's great. The animation is weird. I don't know how to describe it except everyone's always ready to dance. Right? Like everything's very fluid and everything moves and it has an exact style.
Yeah.
That's not like anything else. Right? Like it's very rubbery and I don't know how to describe it. It's not bad. It's Donkey Kong Country. So for whatever reason, high on fermented bananas, they all get in Funky's plane, the three of them, and take off from the beach. And what is it? There's like a scene after they take off and they have a song. Dastardly. What was this? Blaster?
Oh, the rich Kong
The
guy?
mustachioed guy that with
Bluster Kong.
So Bluster Kong is the rich Weasley. He's always thinking of $1, which is
He's got
weird.
a pencil mustache.
He has a pencil mustache, parted little hair on the top, and cuffs, but no shirt. And I'm like, oh, that is fucking character design.
I get, and as I mentioned, he's an original character for the show too. I get like hoity-toity, like French usher vibes from him.
French, right? Like French waiter at a Michelin restaurant.
Yeah.
Or like a Vincent Price kind of like
Can I take your order, sir?
Can I take your order? But yeah, he's a banana baron. So by the way, folks, not only do they only eat bananas, it is the currency. If you've played the games, bananas are the currency on Congo Bongo. And he overhears them and he's like, I'll get the treasure first and buy the whole island. And I'm
Well,
like,
and he already owns the Barrel Works factory.
yeah, the Candy works at that they
Yeah.
mention in the episode. And it's like, he'll own the whole island. And then, oh, because he sent mentions later, then everyone will have to work for me. Will they? What other jobs are there? I don't. Who do you sell these barrels to? How do you make the exploding ones that shoot gorillas? I questions that the show
Perhaps,
definitely answers.
perhaps he's an arms dealer and he's actually selling the exploding barrels to King Karul.
Oh, interesting. And he's keeping this proxy.
And,
He's the
and
funding the war.
he's selling the DK barrels to Donkey Kong so they can fight each other and he can profiteer off of it.
What a piece of shit. And Candy, even though she's working there, she's trying to oust the corruption from the inside.
Yeah,
Hard-hitting international reporter.
right. We are a legitimate journalism here, folks.
That's right. It's canon. As Bluster is getting ready to take off, there's something weird that he says here that I wanted to point out to you. One moment. Oh, yes. So Candy's walking up and they hear and see Candy Dixie's walking up to the barrel factory because, again, the island takes 3 minutes to walk from one end to the other.
Yep.
He says, "Oh, Candy, forget that. You didn't see anything." And she's like, "What are you talking about? I just saw like the boys in a plane like fly off." He's like, "No, you didn't see anything." And then proceeds for like a hot minute to gaslight her. "You didn't see anything. You must have seen a bird just now. It definitely wasn't Donkey
Right.
Kong." And I'm like,
I remember that.
this motherfucker. I already hate him. It'd be
Gaslighting.
one
That was something
specifically.
that I thought of. That was the word that
That's
I
what
thought
I
of
wanted
right
to
away
point out, people.
when
You
I
didn't
watched
see
this.
anything. And I'm like, you piece of shit. Like literally gaslighting. And he's like, you didn't see Funky, Diddy, and Donkey going to go look for hidden treasure.
Right?
And she's like, that donkey, that piece of shit, he bailed on our date. That's it. No straws. I'm kicking, no more extra lives. I'm kicking him out of my hut. What a freeloader.
Next time he texts me at 1 in the morning, I'm blocking his number from my
No,
phone.
I'm not. And he's like, "You up?" I'm like, "No, no." And then Dixie's like, "Candy, treasure." And then Candy comes down and she's like, "Oh, right. Yeah, move over, Bluster." "Ooh, huh?" And he's like, "What? No, you can't come with me." And she's like, "Fly this now." And I guess it's a helicopter.
So the
A wooden
design of
helicopter.
the design of Candy Kong in this show, I got
Thank you, folks. Let us talk specifically about Candy for a moment.
her face, I got major Gremlins 2 vibes from.
That's fair.
You remember the
Oh, yeah.
like girl gremlin, quote unquote girl
Which is
gremlin.
just like wearing a wig and puts like lipstick and eyeshadow on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gremlins
Now here's
2.
the thing.
Such a delight.
Candy and oh yeah, huge delight. Candy, I really like the what's it called?
It's like the elevator pitch or whatever.
The elevator pitch on the giant, what's it called? The Peel and
Key and Peele.
Key and Peel, thank you. The Key and Peel skit show of
I love
like
those two.
right? There's a Gremlins 2 skit, listeners. Please go watch it on YouTube.
Also, please go watch Gremlins. Watch Gremlins and then watch Gremlins 2. Gremlins 2
And then
is
wonder
better.
how they're fucking
How the
connected at all.
Fuck that movie got made. It's like, okay, let's take a like fairly like straightforward basically PG like Christmas horror film. Because the first
The
Gremlins is a
monster
horror
movie.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like scary shit.
yeah. Let's take that, and for the sequel, we are going to basically make a live action Looney Tunes movie.
Oh, that's actually bananas.
That's
I
actually bananas, and it's fucking great. Gremlins 2 is one of the
actually
greatest
great.
greatest sequels ever made. One of the best comedies ever made too, in my opinion.
It's just wacky. And
There's
indeed,
one point in the middle of the movie where like the film reel itself gets stopped by the gremlins. And as they're watching the movie that you're watching, an usher goes into like the theater and gets Hulk Hogan as himself to deliver a promo, like to scare the gremlins into restarting the movie.
is that real? I thought that was
Yes.
a fever dream.
No, that's actually a thing. I just rewatched the movie a few months ago.
Now there's another one for our ladies and gentlemen. We do commentary for like commentary tracks for movies,
Yeah.
and we've done Highlander, we've done The Matrix,
Every
quadrilogy.
Matrix film.
Yeah.
Hey,
Um,
tetralogy.
right. Is that what it's called? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Four of something is a tetralogy. The only reason like quadrilogy became a thing was because of the Alien movies.
Oh, did it coin that?
It did, yeah.
That's probably
When
why
they
I thought that
released
was a real word.
in the early 2000s, when they released the first like box set of the Alien tetralogy on DVD. They
Right.
called it the Alien Quadrilogy. Quadrilogy is not actually a word.
Awesome. There you go. See, don't say we didn't teach you anything. Oh, and so fucking
Oh, and how I know that is because it was a you don't know Jack question.
that's a good you don't know Jack question,
Yep.
right? So we were talking about Candy.
Right.
So she's taller than all the other hominids on the on the show. Most human shaped, wouldn't you say?
Yes, she's has ample features.
Yeah. So everyone else is like great ape shaped. She's human-ish shaped. She has like a mom haircut, which I really appreciate. Just like the high kind of short hair, but swept back kind of look in the bandana. She wears booty shorts and like like a tube top. Well, kind of. What is that? Like not quite you know when you take a low cut t-shirt and kind of like do the thing where
He
you
looks
tie
like
it
a
through?
90s chick.
She looks like a 90s mom. She's
Yeah.
got a big old like ape booty. She got a set of visible badonkas, um, drums. It's interesting. You can use a lot of the terminology in this show to describe most most things. Um,
Like to get a look at her crystal coconuts, if you know what I mean.
Now, I'm not gonna lie, as a kid, did the same kind of things like Black Arachnia did. And I was like, this thing vaguely woman shaped? Sign me up. Now, Candy Kong got those DSLs.
Well, I the show aired in 1997, and I was 12 at the time.
Right.
So I was at an age where I was
Noticing.
definitely taking definitely noticing such things.
Yeah. And so in the games, she was sexualized too. I mean, not to
Right.
any like great effect or like whatever, but like here in my background, right? Like Candy's save point. She's in a one piece swimsuit, right? She's got a bow in her hair, right? And she's kind of like flirty with Donkey Kong. And you know, you save, she gives you a smooch, and then you move on,
Yeah.
right? I Googled Donkey Kong Country Candy, and I'm looking at the different iterations of the games after they were 2D. Now, I had never played any of them, right?
No, I played a little bit of Donkey Kong Country Returns on, I think it was like Wii U or something, but
Oh, really? Okay.
a little bit.
And I didn't realize that they she's the great ape bimbo of the series.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm looking at some of these and I'm like, this isn't real. Like I'm looking at like Candy from I don't is this a Nintendo 64 game or what's going on? But like Mother of God. Are you seeing some of these Candy?
No, I didn't even look.
Let me just jump into ye
Yeah, for
old
one reason,
chat.
well, I never had an N64 growing up, so even though I had Super Nintendo and absolutely loved the Donkey Kong Country games, I never had an N64, therefore I never played Donkey Kong 64,
Ah,
which, from what I've heard, it was also made by Rare. From what I've heard, it's very Banjo-Kazooie-like in
yeah.
terms of gameplay.
Donkey Kong 64. Now let's see the characters
Wow.
in. No, okay, so Candy's not in. No, is that the Donkey Kong 64? Candy.
I feel like the image you sent me is
Yep.
probably from, I don't know, Donkey Kong Country Returns, maybe.
The fact. Wow, folks. Google like Donkey Kong Country, like Candy, and go and look at her different forms. Uh, she looks like somebody that would be sleeping with her university professor. I don't know how better to to describe this. I've got weird mixed feelings.
There is canonically a university professor in the DKC Super Nintendo games.
Really?
Yeah, I looked this up real quick
Professor
here.
Kong? We're deep diving,
Maybe
folks.
Professor Kong. Um, just DKC teacher.
Huh. Save point. Why did they do that to Candy Kong? I don't know. Google the evolution of Candy Kong and let me know if how you feel about that. I'm no comment from me. It's why? There's a ghost. There's a ghost Kong?
Is there?
Yeah. I guess Grandma Kong, like Cranky's like wife.
Right.
Huh. Well, so that's a thing. Sorry, folks. We're deep diving into
I'll just
the
cut
different
this out.
Kongs.
I'll just
Yeah.
cut this out.
Okay. Insectors. So yeah, you're saying there's a professor?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out who it is because I think it's how you save in Donkey Kong Country 2.
Is there like a scientist one?
Wrinkly Kong.
Wrinkly?
Apparently, in Donkey Kong 64, Wrinkly Kong is a ghost.
Right, yeah, he's a ghost. Okay, so that's Wrinkly Kong.
Yeah. And yeah, in Donkey Kong Country 2 on Super Nintendo, you meet Wrinkly Kong by going to Kong College, and that's how you save.
Huh. Well, now I know.
And
There's a
knowing
Kong
is half the
College.
battle.
Banana Slamma.
Bananas!
So, yeah,
Banana Slamma!
Banana Slamma. So the general of K. Rool, Karul, is
Clump.
he's an what's his name?
Clump.
Clump, right? General Clump is an idiot. All of the alligators are idiots.
I like how Clump like Zoom calls basically
Yeah, he's ahead of
King
his
Karul.
day. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
ahead of his time.
FaceTimes
He
Carol.
FaceTimes King Karul. King Karul gets mad over the
Oh, right,
information
because
that he's
he's
been getting.
playing a game.
Oh yeah, he's playing like Space Invaders or something like that. And his like crony is like, "Oh wow, you're like almost about to beat your like top score." And then Clump calls in, Zoom calls in and interrupts his game, and King Karul like just slowly like gets like so mad and shakes and just like smashes the computer. And then hilariously, I found this really funny. After he like smashes the computer, thus ending the Zoom call, he gets a call on his phone from Clump, and Clump is basically like, "Hey, boss, we must have gotten disconnected." I don't know why I found that really funny.
And yeah, he's like, well, at least I managed to get through on your landline. And I thought that was like really funny too.
Yeah, such
He's
a
like,
little, such a little minor gag, but for
he
whatever
didn't
reason, it cracked me up.
he didn't pass his high score in whatever. What's that Microsoft pinball game?
Uh,
Space pinball or
Minesweeper.
yeah, he didn't pass his Minesweeper score. And he's like,
uh,
but we gotta go. Those monkeys, they're monkeying around. I tell you what, we gotta go and stop them.
yeah,
They're after treasure.
they're after buried treasure, and for some reason, I think I alluded to this earlier. For some reason, King Karul's takeaway from all of this is that this buried treasure, for some reason, is some like hidden, like doomsday weapon.
Yeah. So
Why?
so they all have different idea of what it is, and for some reason he thinks it's a hidden doomsday
Why?
weapon to take over or destroy the island.
Why would? Why? Why would it be that?
He's
Why
King
would?
Karul.
Why wouldn't it just be money, which
I
you could then use to
for
spend
anything.
and build your own doomsday weapon?
Well, we'll get into it being currency later when they uncover
Yeah.
it. But when we cut back to the trio of the boys uh, driving, Funky Kong pulls the plane upside down, seemingly unbeknownst to even him, because all of the I like the running gag. He's like, "Oh man!" and all of Donkey Kong's DK's bananas fall out, which means he had individually grabbed like 30 bananas and brought them with him for the trip. And
Right.
he's like, "Oh, you need some banana seat belts." And Funky's like, "That's number one on my list of things, man."
Oh,
And there's
on
a
my
recurring
wish
joke
list.
on my
Yeah.
wish list, yeah. And there's a recurring joke of the things that are number one on his wish list.
Yeah.
And it gets funnier as it goes. It's like seatbelt bananas, number one on his wish list. And it's like landing gear, number one on my wish list. And then later it's like extra fuel, number one on my when they run out of fuel. And it's like, don't you have a gas tank? Oh, I left it back at base. Trust me, an extra space for gas is number one on my list. And I'm
I
like,
I like that kind of
I
writing.
there's actually really good writing here. Like
the sh- the show itself
genuinely.
the show itself is kind of dumb, but like
The plot of every episode is like it is whatever, but it's the writing and it's the songs that bring it home.
and indeed, there's two songs in this episode. One of the songs, I think we've already gone past by this point.
Yeah, that was when they were convincing DK to come with them. They were singing about treasure.
Right, it was this almost like Beastie Boys like style rap.
Yeah, and at
And
the end, they convince him to come to get the gift for.
get the gift for
It
Candy.
was
Yeah.
kind of Beastie Boys,
It
right?
was. It
Yeah.
was. When I was listening to it, I was like, "Oh, this has kind of a Beastie Boys vibe to it."
And oh, what's it? Yeah, and then later on, there's another song that absolutely slaps.
Yeah, there's a
But
song that plays while they're on like mine carts, like
which is
King
fucking
Karul.
great. Yeah,
And that song fucking slaps. I'm gonna put it at the end of this episode.
hell yeah. So one more thing about Funky Kong that I really like when they're side down, he's like, "Oh man, since when I've never seen the sky turn green before." And he's like, "That's weird." And the clouds turn green before. That's weird. The what? We're over the ocean all of a sudden. And Diddy's like, Funky, you were flying the plane upside down. And he's like, "Oh, I've never seen that explains why I've never seen green clouds before." Well, one time, and I fucking like just the little things for adults, right?
Yeah.
Like there's alcohol and there's like drug reference on the show, but in an innocent way, where even
Yeah.
if a kid picks it up, it's like whatever. They know the drugs exist. They
This
know
is
that
how you
alcohol
know that
exists.
adults make these shows.
Yeah. And it's like, "Why are you flying upside down?" And he's like, "Don't worry, a compass is number one on my wish
Right.
list." And I'm like, a compass doesn't help you fly up. It shows you which way is north. It doesn't. And I'm like, I feel for Diddy here.
Yeah.
Because it's like a compass doesn't help you not fly the plane upside down. It would still point north if it was upside down. Oh, fuck. But anyways, they crash because they run out of gas and he's flying upside down.
Yeah.
And DK says, "Hey, try to aim for that mine, that abandoned mine. That's probably where the treasure is." And instead of being like, "That's a surefire way, we're all gonna die," he's like, "Okay, no problem, man," and flies into the mine shaft. Like they don't land outside of it like normal people. Well, they're not normal people; they're apes.
Yeah.
And you know
Except
what?
Diddy. He's a monkey.
He's a monkey, but we they don't talk about that on the show, or maybe they do, and I stand corrected. But they made references to monkeying around, or something like that, and I was like, "Hang on, only Diddy's a monkey."
Yeah.
So they crash in the mine, and they're just fine. Briefly shows Cranky after all the bees got inside of his Kahlua. Sorry,
His parrot bay.
his parrot bay. He's like, "Now I got you, suckers," and he puts a cork in it. He's like, that's it. Just wanted to show us because later
On, there's payoff to this.
later on, the conflict is resolved with this dumb. The writing's so dumb, but like in a okay way, like in a kids show way. So what do we got here,
The
folks?
show is dumb, but it's well written and well structured dumb.
Yeah,
This is a very tightly written episode. Like
right.
the people
like they got
who
like 18 minutes, right? And they do so much with that 18
like
minutes.
the people who
Two
wrote this
songs?
knew how to write television, children's television.
So there's a ton of hijinks. They're all in the mines. They're all following each other. They all want the treasure, whatever it is, for themselves. We got Karul and Crusher. No, who's his bodyguard? Like the
Crusher,
military.
I think. Yeah.
They're looking for it. We got Bluster, Candy, and Dixie.
Yeah.
And then we got the other three all splitting up and look for it. And it's like, man, we're never going to find the treasure. And I love this kind of conflict resolution. This is a trope, and I usually hate it. You know, when somebody's like, "Oh, man, I don't have glasses. I'm not smart." And somebody's like, "Glasses. Cal, you're a genius." That we've talked about that stupid trope where somebody accidentally comes on the right answer and the smart person figures it out. Donkey Kong trips over a pile of rocks. And they're like, "Wow, you did it, DK. You found the treasure." And it's a little barrel, right? With a little X on it. And he's like, "Wow, I did do it, didn't I?" And I feel like that's kind of a good summary of this show. Donkey Kong accidentally saves the day despite being inept. The
Yeah,
cartoon.
a lovable oaf.
So, what leads into the song bit is now there's a minecart section. Don't
Yep.
ask how they work. Don't ask how they move. Don't ask why they can go forwards and backwards and they have a break and they're magically powered. But all of them, it's kind of like a Scooby Doo thing where like they're crossing caverns and rails and they're swiping it from each other, and they
Right.
all land a little bit to the song.
And as mentioned, the song that plays fucking slaps. Like
Hope you
this
like
song's really
ska.
good.
Because if you don't, get the fuck off the stop, leave. You're not. Because it's kind of like ska, but no, it's ska, right?
I would say, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it's a song
basically ska.
where all the characters contribute to in
All
some way.
hail your new dictator. Um, so we get to hear all the voice actors singing chops, and it tells you all of their motivations. This, folks, is what Lasercomb is looking for when we're doing these episodes. What do all the characters want? What defines their character? Bluster, cowardly, rich. Gaslights women, right? DK, smart, honest, brave. Diddy, smart, right? Um, Candy, ambitious, right? Like we know it all, and they sing about it because what does Candy want?
Right.
Or maybe Candy's just like playing like the trumpet for the ska. I don't, I can't quite remember. But oh, she wants
Candy
to buy
wants
the
to
barrel
I
factory.
was going to say she wants to buy the barrel factory. Also, I find it really funny in this episode that all of the characters are talking about what they want to do with their share of the treasure as if they're getting all the treasure themselves instead of
Themselves.
splitting it.
And there is a point of conflict before the song starts because they're like, no, you're not getting the treasure because I need to do this. Well, you're not getting the treasure because I'm going to buy Candy a gift with it. And then
Yeah.
Candy's like, you can't buy me a gift with it because I'm using the treasure to buy the barrel factory. And
Here's what
that's when they have conflicting.
here's what we should do here is Donkey Kong should buy the barrel factory for Candy as a gift.
Right.
So therefore, she gets what she wants and he gets laid.
Yeah. Donkey Kong, the the journey
Banana
to get laid.
Slamma.
Donkey Kong, the journey to get laid, episode 8.
Yeah.
If it was an isekai anime, it would be I got sucked into Donkey Kong. My adventures trying to date a single mom. Anime isekai have the wildest titles. They've got like really long, ridiculous titles like that.
I've always thought of Candy as Dixie's older sister.
Yeah, I had played at the very beginning and like straight faced been like, oh, well, she's a single mom for Dixie.
Yeah,
But I get like Diddy is DK's nephew vibes from DK and Diddy. And I
yeah,
get like sister vibes from Dixie and Candy. Here's the
right.
thing. Even though Diddy is like small and built like Diddy. Sorry, Dixie is small and built like Diddy. Diddy has a tail, but Dixie doesn't.
Yeah, interesting.
I don't. Yeah, he's the only monkey.
Also, I think they should have her ponytails like are not nearly as big as they should be, like compared to the
Oh,
games.
yeah. Harder to animate them flying around or something. I don't.
Probably.
Because in
Yeah,
the games, yeah, she's got these big, like almost
massive
pigtails.
ponytails that like pretty much go to her feet, and you can use them to like helicopter glide.
Yeah, like Diddy does a cartwheel thing,
Yeah,
and Dixie helicopter glides
yeah.
with them. Yeah. Uh,
I love playing as Dixie in DKC 2 and
that's how
3
you get those secrets, man.
just because of that maneuver.
Right? Fly over everything.
Yeah.
So they got a ska number which fucking absolutely slaps. And a bunch of them like fly off of a cliff at the end.
Yeah.
Luckily, it just lands on the beach. Don't worry
It's
about
a
it. Don't
it's a big fall too. When I was watching this, I was like, "Holy shit, these motherfuckers would be dead."
if they weren't like 800-pound gorillas. They're just like shake it off and they're fine. Like apes, man. Oh, somebody makes a reference to a chimp. Like somebody says like, "Oh, chimp maybe chimpan X, but not chimpanzee." I can't remember what like pun it was. And I'm like,
Oh, I can't remember.
but Diddy's a monkey.
Yeah, Diddy's a monkey. The rest of them, well, Donkey
Apish.
Kong's a gorilla.
Yeah, he's supposed to be a gorilla. Diddy is a hairy human.
I think Cranky might be a chimp.
Yeah, Cranky looks like chimpish. Really, Diddy looks like a chimp with a tail,
Yeah.
right? But they're ape adjacent.
They're
Yeah,
all
there we go.
primates.
They're all primates. Yeah,
Much like me and you. And you,
that's right.
listener.
Yeah, ain't nothing but mammals. And wouldn't you know it? Even though this cave entrance was on the other side of the island. By the way, on the map, it showed literally the opposite side of the island. And they entered at a snowy peak where they come flying out is on the beach where Cranky is.
Yep.
And who ends up getting it after all? It's Karul. It's basically like the Nazis getting a hold of the
the Ark of the Covenant at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, and it's like game over, man. It's clearly a doomsday device locked inside.
I considered. I recently put up a poll on Patreon for our Patreon subscribers to vote on like what our next Too Much Commentary track was going to be,
yeah?
And I considered putting Raiders of the Lost Ark as one of the choices.
I haven't seen that since I was like 12.
I probably haven't seen it in like a good like 20 years myself.
Right? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time. So that might end up on a poll in the future.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening? He releases it and he's like, haha, my doomsday weapon is. Oh, but before he does that, sorry, they're like, well, DK's gonna stop you. Right? Because DK just goes and beats up Crusher. He's the only one that's stronger than the crocodile gang.
Big old crocodile.
Big old crocodile. Can't believe I haven't made that joke. But he did. But he's like, oh, I can't. Oh, I'm so weak. I haven't had any bananas to keep up my strength. There's jungle like 15 feet away. Get this dude some bananas. Also, like, what is his metabolism like? He was just gorging himself 15 minutes ago. Homie can't go 15 minutes without like eating like a pound of bananas.
Now I would like to present a hypothesis to you, good sir.
Okay.
Banana steroids.
Oh, and his friends are always trying to help him with his banana addiction.
Yeah. He needs to get a steroid injection, and bananas is the code word for it.
Banana Slamma.
Yeah.
Because you
Banana Slamma.
Banana Slam. Fuck. So yeah, he's
For
too weak.
anyone not in the know, slamming is actually a slang term for injecting drugs.
And he... So dumb. And yet
Banana Slamma.
so he's like, oh, it's so weak. It's been like 15 minutes since I've had any protein powder. And so the bad guys win. Karul is he has a crown and a cape. Or does he even have a cape?
Yeah, he has
Does
a
he
cape.
have?
He
Yeah,
has a
he's got like a
tiny,
little cape, tiny
little
one.
red cape.
Yeah. But he's just a big, like, fat, dumb guy. Um, and he's got this huge meathead crusher, and he's like, open this. And he opens it.
We talked about the voice acting. I love the performance that whoever voices Karul is giving.
It is it it
It's
might be
very
the best on the show.
it's hilariously over the top, like posh supervillain. And like the voice actor knows what he's doing with the performance he's giving. Who's he
Right?
voiced by?
I've had such a long day of disappointment. I can't even imitate it. It is, you know what it is? It's like our
Benedict
theater in the park.
Benedict Campbell. He is a stage actor. That does not surprise me.
I was just
at
going to
all.
say, like I had said, Shakespearean and Shakespeare in the Park stage actor. That does not fucking surprise me.
Yeah.
That's the term I was like looking for.
Yeah, he's legit a stage actor.
There you go, folks. That's why his voice is so great. So he opens up the treasure, and what's inside? A note.
Yep.
And it says, "I get your hands off my treasure, DK."
Yep.
And he's like,
And
"Huh?"
and it wouldn't you know it, it turns out that this MacGuffin that they've all been chasing throughout for the past 22 minutes has been well, it was a cache of bananas that Donkey Kong himself buried like when he was a kid.
Which probably what 3 bananas would have fit in this stupid fucking. Yeah, he buried it as a kid.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it smells inside of it as if the bananas have gone bad.
Oh, yeah.
Wouldn't they have long ago, like years ago, like just have turned into dust and residue? Unless it was sealed tight, like airtight, then they would be mush. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And they were like, "How could you forget something like that?" And he's like, "Oh, I did it as a kid."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the resolution.
There's not much more to say about the episode than that.
And he's
really.
like, oh, woe is me. I guess there's the silver lining is I get to finally take DK out. Crusher, kill them all.
And he's like, "Oh, I'm so thirsty."
So famished. What's this? And he picks up the
The bottle of Captain Morgan's Parrot Bay. That
and Cranky's
that
like,
Cranky-
"Yeah, that's right. Why don't you have a sip, Sonny?
Yes, that's right. Drink it.
Drink it, you little bitch."
Drink it like
And,
one of those females.
One of those female. Suddenly, Cranky Kong is a Ferengi.
I don't even know why I went there with
Because
that.
of our voice just started. By the way, doesn't sound like Cranky at all. Like,
No.
our voices have been all way off on this one. But because they're actual voice actors and they do a great job. Like,
Yeah.
legit. Like, I can't even do it justice. And wouldn't you know it, the King Karul and his definitely heterosexual bodyguard,
Yeah.
his fancy shiny pool boy that he keeps around at all times. Yeah, Karul drinks up the rum. I mean the banana drink smoothie with all the bees.
The banana slamma, if you will.
The banana slamma, if you will. And yeah, now he's got bees in his tummy and he runs away. I don't know why running would help you get the bees out, but this is a children's show. Fuck you guys. It's a children's show. He runs away and Crusher's like, "Wait for me, boss." And like, speaking of steroids, like a gym bro that never does leg day and only does upper body, his arms and shoulders stick straight out on his sides and he's got these little legs. I love that. Like, at least DK does leg day, right? But not this guy. And they
Right.
run away and they go, "Ha, ha, ha. I'm glad it all worked out after all, or something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
Oh, and then there's like a smooch scene because like
oh,
Donkey
and
Kong gets a kiss from Candy.
the episode ends with Bluster and Funky being like hiding out like under something, thinking like the Doomsday weapon is
Oh,
going to
the
go off.
minecart, the
Yeah, yeah.
minecart they were in.
Thinking the Doomsday weapon is going to go. For whatever reason, they just decided not to get out of the
I,
minecart, unlike everyone else.
so it's because one is a coward and the other is an idiot. And they had come to the conclusion that K. Rool activated the Doomsday weapon and that it's a nuclear apocalypse
Right, right.
outside. And they're in an
One
iron minecart.
one is a coward, and the other is really fucking baked.
And he's like, I don't want to go out there. Basically, he doesn't want to see. It's like scorched earth. He's expecting, like, a rider with a sickle on a pale horse. Like, like Doomsday out there.
Right.
And he's like, I'm not going out there. And he's like, I'm way too baked to try to get out, to get up, man. And he's like, well, what do we do in the meantime? And it's like, we get to know one another. And I'm like, the writing. And Bluster's like, no. And he's like, for instance, I can tell you my middle name and you can tell me yours. And he's like, no. But he doesn't leave. So he's being
I've
tortured
got an
by
entire
hanging out
ounce of weed in my backpack here, man. We're gonna have a great time.
Maybe I left it in my other plane. And it ends with them having spending some time together. There's a part where Dixie's like, "Oh, everything worked out after all, isn't it romantic?" As she's like staring at Donkey. It's implied. It's off screen. They're not going to show real smooching, but they go to smooch, and there's a sound of smooching off screen. And then
Also, for
Dixie
the time,
leans forward to kiss
that would
Diddy.
probably be a very difficult thing to animate.
Them touch, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, And so Diddy's like, oh, so romantic. And she like stands on one foot and goes to lead Diddy. And Diddy's like, oh, gross. And he walks away without even noticing Dixie. And it's like, yeah, boys be like that. So that's why in my head, like
I was
Dixie
never
and Diddy are
I was
like
never
12.
like that.
I was never like that.
No, no,
Ew.
legit, I wasn't. I was like from a very young age. I was like, oh, girls.
For me, it was like, ugh. And I don't know if it was like just a sudden like shift. But yeah, there were times where like girls would like want to hang out, right? And
Like I remember being interested in like classmates, like other girls who were like classmates of mine, like going back like all the way back to like kindergarten.
you want to hear a cringe story?
Sure.
So, um, a girl had like come over. This is like grade 3 or 4 or something like that, and she was
Okay.
wearing a dress. Had like little thing in her hair or whatever, like butterfly clip or something, and like some makeup or whatever. And she's like, oh, do you want to hang out? And I was like, no, not really. Oh, I don't know, my mom was, oh, like, come on. No. And really I just wanted to like F off, hang out in my like no fear sweatpants and play like GoldenEye 64. Maybe it was Harvest Moon 64. I was pretty into that at the time. Ogre Battle, that's what it was. And I think back to that one moment and I'm like, man, that could have been your first girlfriend. I even remember her name. But like kids are like really weird, and I was like, oh, like I don't like this girl. Maybe if it was like one of these other girls that are like nice or blah blah blah. But it's always like the ones you butt heads with, that boys that they like a girl and so they annoy the girl, or I guess I found her annoying, so I guess she liked me. And I think back to that day all the time and go, man, Ogre Battle is pretty hype.
See, I never did that when I was a kid. Like I didn't like I know there's like a stereotype of like boys like picking on girls that they
I didn't
actually
pick on
like.
anyone.
I never did anything like that. I don't know.
I never picked on anyone, uh, guy or girl. Well, until like a little bit like later on, I ended up like as a defense mechanism, picking on people. Bad friends.
I was aggro toward bullies.
That's what I mean. A lot of
Like
yeah.
when I would see like older boys like bullying like classmates of mine and shit like that, like I was aggro toward them.
Doesn't make you any friends, surprisingly.
No, not really.
No. Where my thank you, other people? Yeah, I was the same way. I was ended up scrapping a little when here or there having words to say. But unfortunately, bullies often have like a gaggle of dumb lackeys.
There's always at least two others. They always have at least
Right?
two other
They got
friends.
this
It's
like
usually
little
two.
band.
Sometimes it's three or four, but it's usually two
Yeah,
other like douchebags hanging
yeah.
out with them.
And I didn't have anyone hanging out with me, so it's a losing battle.
Yep, same.
But I was quick.
The few times that I did actually have like a like tiny little entourage, they would always like cower away.
Oh my God, right? You know who you are, Jared, Chris. Freaking wimps.
I've gotten the shit kicked
Don't
out of
even
me so
back me
many
up.
times because like
Their friends
people.
helped them, but your friends didn't help you.
Yeah.
Jared, you know who you are.
Fuck Jared.
Yeah, fuck Jared.
Screw that guy. And you, Mike.
Right? Fucking loser, Mike. We have a Jared that listens to one of our shows, and it's not you, Jared. Don't
No,
worry.
it's not you, Jared. We love you, Jared.
Yeah. I'm talking about white Jared.
But not your best friend, White Jared.
No, that guy's cool.
That guy's cool.
I don't even know how we got on this wild tangent. Editor,
Oh, yeah.
cut this. It's Christopher. It's and he's not.
And I'm not cutting it.
He's not cutting it.
This is going in the episode, baby.
But yeah, here at the
also,
end of,
fuck you, Jeff. Yeah. You know who you are.
Yeah.
Jeff.
Jeff.
Fuck you. We just stood and watched while I got like my face stomped in. Actual thing that happened.
And then when you're like, what the fuck, man? They're like, what? I'm not your friend or anything.
It's like, well, we were kind of outnumbered. And it's like, yeah, we wouldn't have been nearly as fucking outnumbered like if you guys had joined in. Like, yes, there were 6 of them, but there were 3 of you. We would have had better odds. We would have had better odds than just me on my own, you fucking assholes.
Yeah. So let this be a lesson to you. You can make friends like Diddy Kong, but if and yes, Diddy Kong can't jump on Crusher because Crusher just goes and laughs at you. But you know what? He tries.
He tries.
Yeah, he can still bounce on his head. Can't get rid of him, but he tries, right?
Right.
And that's better than being a wuss.
Oh, also, another fuck you. Andrew and Tony. These are actually names of people that I knew in my youth.
Tonys are always douchebags.
Yeah.
If you're listening and you know a Tony that's not a douchebag, congrats.
I actually do know a Tony who's kind of cool. I haven't seen him in years, but
Okay.
used to work with him back in the day.
What about
Not the same Tony though.
What about Joey?
I've had 2 friends named Joey over the years. One was a really cool guy, really cool French Canadian guy.
Nice.
And the other
like
ended up starting a white supremacy group later in life. Exactly.
Mixed company. That's not what that term means, by the way, people. Mixed Joey reviews. There we go. None like three. Like one
Okay,
was
to
a
be fair,
coworker.
I just thought of it. To be fair, Joey was his nickname. His not even gonna dignify the guy by saying his actual name, but he had an Italian first name
Ah,
that was converted to Joey. So
Mario,
technically not an actual Joey.
Luigi.
Oh, and I had a
Oh,
roommate years ago, like back in like 2005, whose name was Joey, and he was a fucking asshole.
well, there you go.
So, not great odds with the name Joey.
Not great odds. Don't name your
No.
kid that. No.
Yep.
Um,
Name your kid Joey, we're gonna think he's a piece of shit, like right out of the vag.
yeah. Go over there with a microphone and be like, bitch, what? Um, there's way
Anyway,
worse names than that, by the way, people. Way worse names like that. Like, did, post like, like post like 1940 or post 1960. What are you doing naming a kid Rudolph? What? So you can give them the nickname Red or Rudy? No, no, no. You parent license removed.
Walter.
Is Walter that bad? Walter post Breaking Bad. Like there are apparently kids named Khaleesi. What have you done? Like from Game of
Okay.
Thrones.
Yeah, I know. Um,
There's
what
probably Geralt.
I'm sure I've talked about this before, but like I remember like the writers saying in response to the backlash of the final season of Game of Thrones and like whatever her name was, Emilia Clarke,
Right.
turning bad, which I predicted right from the first fucking season. I'm like, this chick is going to get mad with power and go nuts and ultimately become the villain of the show.
Well, it is
And the show
written and
actually
it
like very
tells.
slowly built to
Yeah, of
that.
course. That's I can make a whole podcast just in of itself, but that was not them 180ing, turning Danny
No.
evil. It
That was actually a
was
well-written slow
prophesized
build.
from like season one onwards, especially the whole geez, everybody in the Targaryen dynasty ends up going mad with power and murderous.
Yeah.
It's like literally what her brother was like. It's what her father was like. It's what her father like.
Yeah, I knew
Having
that that was
twins and
coming.
being
Like
crazy is what they did in their family.
I knew that that was coming like right from the first season.
Yeah.
But like in the final season when she does finally go like mad with power, people are like, "Oh, this is a betrayal to the character." But like the one of the creators of the show was just like, no, this has always been our intention. Don't get mad at us just because you named your kid Khaleesi."
That's that's a great response.
And
Don't get
I've
mad at
always
us.
don't get mad at us just because you named your kid Khaleesi. Like fucking great.
Reminds me of a meme that's like, um, how come you named um like my sister oh what was it? I can't remember what it was like. Why um how come you named my like sister Rose? And it's like, oh, because that was your mother's favorite character from a book. And the kid's like, oh, okay. And then the dad's like, why do you ask, Naruto Uzumaki? Or favorite comic or something like that.
Like how Raiden and his girlfriend in Metal Gear Solid 2 are named Jack and Rose because Hideo Kojima really liked Titanic. And he's gone on record saying that he really
Yeah,
likes Titanic and he named
yeah.
them after those characters. Anyway, we're like
Yeah, we're
off in the
going off
weeds
way
here.
off on the deep end here. All right, Siege, you just watched an episode of Donkey Kong Country. Would you tune in next week? A random episode of Donkey Kong Country.
I would. Yeah. This is fun. Voice acting was great. The music slaps. The animation for its time's pretty good. The characters are extremely expressive. Um, the plot is dumb, but I feel like the writers know that the plot is dumb.
That's the thing. They know what all of the characters are, They don't try to be more clever than what the show is capable of.
Yeah.
That's what I want, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would tune in next week too. And you know what? When I was younger, I did. It
So
wasn't
did I.
like I need to watch every single episode. They're very episodic, but I watched a ton of this show when I was a kid.
Also, I'd like to give a bit of a shout out to the voice actor of Diddy Kong, Andrew Sabiston. He's from Victoria.
Yeah.
And not only is he a voice actor, he, according to Wikipedia, Andrew Sabiston is a multi-award nominated Canadian children's television series developer, story editor, writer, and actor with over 1,100 episodes to his credit. Which, as soon as I read that, I'm like, this motherfucker wrote his own Wikipedia article.
Somebody had to.
Good for him.
Good to see a fellow Victorianite.
Yeah.
Doing the great ape in the skies work. The great golden bananas work.
He's been nominated for Juno Awards.
Oh, cool.
Because of music he's done in shows, which I get it. The music in this show slaps.
Right? That freaking minecart like ska song.
Yep.
All right.
Anyway, that has been episode 61 of the Lasercomb podcast. Best way to support the show is to go to patreon.com/lasercomb, LAZORCOMB. We're at the single $5 Gary tier. You get a whole bunch of cool stuff, including the ability to pick a show for us to review a random episode of on this very podcast. So if you want to get in on that, go to patreon.com/lasercomb. Follow me on Twitter. I am at lasercomb, spelled the same way. Cal, you are at?
I am at NeoCal, NEO_KAL.
We will be back with the next episode of the Lasercomb podcast, where we are going to continue our theme of R.I.P and Peace Teletoon. And what we're going to be talking about is a British import called Captain Star. This is a show that I have wanted to review on a podcast for literally years now. Literally years. It's a show that I strongly associate with Teletoon. And yeah, we're finally getting the chance. So, the amount of episodes that Captain Star had were 13. So one random number between 1 and 13. And here we go. Where it stops, only the boiling hell knows. Episode 2. That is episode 2, Day of the Zooties, which originally aired on July 15th, 1997.
Day of the Zooties.
Yep. This is a very difficult show to find, so Cal, I'll send you a.
We'll hunt it down.
I'll send you a link for it.
More difficult than what was that? It was like the original run of Kino's Journey.
Yeah, that I think is the most difficult. Yeah, it's on like High Dive, a service no one has heard of.
And we assure you exists.
And until then, I've been the Siege, one of your hosts.
And I'm NeoCal.
Thanks for listening. We will jungle beat you next week.
We'll jungle beat your banana slammas and polish your crystal coconuts next time.
DK said it was time to make like a banana and split. Dig?
I'm afraid I'm a bit of a klutz when it comes to doomsday devices and...
What was Rule yapping about? Who knows? By the time he puts a cork in it, we'll be the new owners of the Congo Bongo Barrel Works! With these riches, I will gain my freedom from Buster acting like a jerk. I don't need anyone to shower me with diamonds. I won't ever have to work.
But boss, my dear, the treasure is mine now. I can plan my evil schemes. With this device, I will take over the island. Oh, it sounds like such a dream!
I don't mean to disappoint you, Rule. I'm gonna stop you from your evil ways. Congo Bongo will be out of your grasp. safe for one more day.
Oh my goodness, oh my gosh, I don't like this! Someone take away this doomsday thing! I have to think about myself and save my own skin! Who knows what evil this will bring?
All I wanna do is buy the factory, all the freedom and luxury.
Gonna be a hero when I save the island. Gotta stop King Kuru's evil plans.
The thought of my demise displeases me! Self-preservation is the key!
The king is mine, so I'll see you later. All hail your new dictator!